All right, ladies and gentlemen, have we got a show for you today? I'm telling you what, we have the quintessential queen of real estate and my key sponsor for the Next Gen Luxury event, known as the Accelerator Symposium, coming up at Renaissance Legacy West, Monday, June 13th. That's right, she's here in the studio today, none other than Candy Evans, right here on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. Woo! Lord, we guarantee today we're coming in hot, C3.
Yes, sir.
I'm here. Telling you what, you know who that is on your left?
That would be the Candy.
That is the quintessential queen of North Texas Philanthro-Journalism in real estate, right?
It is.
Well, thank you so much. It is so exciting to be here with the beauty of Dallas right behind us, which is all of our territory for everything we write about. I am a journalist first who happens to have a real estate license. Dangerous, dangerous.
That is, well, hey, it's dangerous, but boy, is it nice to have you. I mean, you cover all of the hot beat here for what's going on, what's cooking in Dallas real estate. In fact, I bet you are probably the most followed and sought after expert on real estate matters that there is. I know Steve Brown's a great one for the Dallas Morning News. Obviously, the Dallas Business Journal has some great writers.
Bill Hefcock does a really good job.
But really when it gets down to it, who do the agents listen to? They listen to you, right?
Well, it was a niche that I discovered. And, you know, God loves Steve. He's great, but he's covering commercial real estate. He's covering residential. Nobody focused just exclusively, you know, on the residential until I came along and just made it my business to do that. And I think that I love it. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. And I never get tired of real estate. Just never.
You know, I'll tell you, and what a clever name. How'd you come up with Candy's Dirt? Was it after a few tequilas or?
Actually, no. I came up with the name Dallas Dirt. And I named it Dallas Dirt when I was doing this at D Magazine. And then they decided they didn't want the blog anymore. And I was like, are you crazy? Real estate, you know, to me, like real estate is everything. It's the whole world, you know. And so they didn't want it, but they owned the copyright for Dallas Dirt, even though I had thought of it. So as I was trying to buy the copyright, my attorney said, I don't know why you just don't call it Candy's Dirt. And I said, Candy's Dirt. I said, well, that's me, because that's right. You're branding yourself. You don't need to buy the copyright. And guess what? If you are doing this in Fort Worth or Arlington or San Antonio, they may not like Dallas Dirt. And I said, oh, I never thought about that. So it was a good attorney who helped me think about that. And so we named it Candy's Dirt.
Oh my goodness. And that was a smart move, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have spoken a little bit kind of just, you know, outside of the studio here a little bit about your kind of vision perhaps of taking what you do to other markets. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, in fact, I'm seeing that happen with some New York-based publications for The Real Deal. They're starting to come here and cover Texas real estate. Unfortunately, the young lady they have doing it is in Washington, D.C., is a former political reporter and has never, ever, ever set a boot or a foot in Texas. So she reads us all the time. She calls me. In fact, she just did a story on ranches. It's really funny. She called me last week and I said, okay, here's who you need to talk to. Here's who you don't need to talk to. And, you know, on and on, gave her a few names and she's putting this story together. Well, I love that. But to me, really good reporting means you have some sense of your community. One of the things I wanted to do with Candy's Dirt, and I finally achieved it, is we have reporters in every neighborhood across this metroplex. We have 3 in mid-cities. We have 1 in Fort Worth. We've got someone now in Alito, which is amazing because that's a tremendously high
North of
growing
Fort-
area.
Sure. Yeah.
Plano, Frisco, and of course East Dallas and South Dallas. So we've got them all over the place because that's how beats are covered. And that's the old fashioned journalist in me that believes that you should it's just like an agent. Agents farm their own neighborhood, right?
Right.
That's exactly what journalists do for information.
Yeah. And it's sort of a grassroots level approach.
Exactly.
And then your involvement in the community. And you've been involved in the community to the degree where you ran for city council. And other things. I mean, just this event that you're working with us on. I'm so excited about this, by the way. And I'm really glad you accepted the invitation to join us.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
This is really going to be exciting. Let's just talk about that for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I guess we can let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. But it's going to be Monday, just in about 10 short days, I guess.
Yep. Monday,
June 13th.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Josh Altman flying in from $1 Million Listing LA.
Everybody
is
knows
our keynote.
Him.
Gosh, everybody knows Josh.
Yeah.
And he's got some things he's going to pull out of the bag for us that he's never done before. So I'm super excited about that. We've got Frank McKinney coming in. And if you don't know who Frank is,
okay, I didn't know, and I was like blown away.
Right? I mean, who in his right mind would build a $50 million, 32,000 square foot spec beach house in Delray, Florida? I mean, that took some guts. Yeah.
We would probably go, who is this person? And he kind of looks like a rocker too.
He does.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does.
And when he jumps out of that helicopter, isn't that amazing?
Okay, I mean, guys, this is how he markets a home. So he jumps out of a helicopter. So get ready, because he may jump out of a helicopter for our conference.
We have no idea what he's got planned, but I guarantee you it's going to rock it's going to rock the hotel for sure. Yeah. But Frank's going to be there, and he has got a word for luxury agents. And then, of course, we've got Janie Coffey. Janie was a trainer for Sotheby's in Miami, where she met Michael Valdez, who is also going to be with us. I'll talk about Michael in a minute. But Janie then spent some time at Compass, and she lives in St. Augustine, Florida right now. And she is one smart agent. And I'm telling you, I know a little bit of what she's going to share with us at the event. And you guys, you're going to want to have a lot of paper and pen to take notes on.
Or maybe
There's no question about
it,
that. Well, it is going to be recorded as well. Absolutely.
And we can follow up on Candy Sturt with a lot of this, which is, what we plan to do.
For sure.
Actually.
Yeah. I mean, how exciting is that? Then Michael Valdez is going to be here. Michael was with Sotheby's. Michael trades time between New York and Miami now. He's doing global expansion for EXP. He took Realty all over the globe. This guy he's a dear friend of mine and one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He really is just unbelievable. And he knows luxury. When he was at Sotheby's, he was selling those big condos and stuff down in Miami Beach and knows it inside and out. So, and then you're going to be hosting and actually running a panel of local luxury agents here. Tell us about who you've got on your card there.
Well, I have right now 4 of the top agents in Dallas. I mean, we're talking about the multi-million-dollar producers. And I'm starting with my good friend, Chad Shulin, Chad is with Compass. And he was with, I think he was with Dave Perry-Miller before, but now he's with Compass. And he focuses primarily in the Plano area. And I've known him for a long time. He's a genius. He's very soft-spoken, very much a gentleman, but he really knows how to get the job done, get a home sold. Donna Smith, one of the most dynamic women I've ever met. And she's with herself, but this woman, I'll tell you how I met her. She sold out the Stoneleigh residences. She went into a situation where this property had kind of passed through some different ownership, and everyone was trying everything to market. I went to more damn parties there than you could just imagine, and the last one I went to, they had these flowing curtains up. And then the next thing I knew, the owners had filed Chapter 11 or 13 or whatever, and it was changing hands. So she comes into this, and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I knew her. I knew her then, because she told me, she's Candy, I got to sell this stuff. And I mean, I got to sell this, and it's hard. I don't know how I'm going to do it. She did it. And you know what it took? Hard work. This is a woman who is not afraid of hard work, and she's gorgeous. She's a blonde, so we stick together. And she sold it. Well, then she sold everything there, and so they called her and said, "Will you come up to the Windrose?" And she's almost sold that place out too. It's amazing, luxury high-end condos in Plano, north of LBJ, as we would say.
Who
would have thought it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm like, I wouldn't
On
invest
that
in that.
corner,
They did.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
but they did.
Phil Huffines and us from St. We used to sell fireworks up in town, 120 run right there back in the day. I mean, who would have thought that corner
That
would have turned
corner.
out to be such
Legacy,
a diamond?
luxury.
Yeah.
And beautiful. You know, that building has a golf simulator that if you ever stick me in a room and shut the door, I'd be in there for hours, you know, trying to putt against that thing. They have a dog park, a dog grooming station. I mean, it is beautiful. And then I kind of like the view out of the penthouse up there because you don't just see, you could see all the way down to Dallas, but you see kind of this beautiful whole northern area that we've got up here behind us where all the sales are happening, where everyone's moving. Because as you know, Dallas real estate, the story is a northward migration all the way up north. Yes. And so Donna's terrific. So that's Donna. Then there's Ryan Strive, who's another one of my dear friends who is, you know, he just sold a home right down the street from me for 10 million, was it? Yeah. And it, you know, took about 2 weeks to do it. Sold another one further down the street from me, like I couldn't even write about it because I think it was over the weekend. They had 3 cash offers for it and they, you know, actually upped the price. Ryan is amazing and he will share his marketing techniques with us. And who's my last person? Oh my God, how could I forget? The former mayor of Frisco, Jeff Cheney. And here's what we're going to
He's still mayor. Don't get him out of this. Oh gosh, don't let Jeff out of that job yet. He's not done.
We don't want him out of that job.
You might have been thinking of Mayor Masso.
That's always of Masso.
That's who preceded Jeff.
I'm so glad he's still mayor because this guy knows what's going on with the PGA.
Oh gosh.
We are going to, you have to come just to get this because this, let me tell you, this is going to affect all future sales up there. I don't know if y'all realize that the PGA moved from Florida here to Texas, to Frisco. And that is huge for our real estate market. And it's also huge for our convention market and everything. It's amazing.
No, it is. You know, and who would have thought, you know, we talk about, in the past, we used to talk about the Dallas Golden Corridor.
Right.
And that was essentially, back in the old days, that was Preston Hollow.
Right. Just
kind of between Central and the Tollway. Maybe it didn't even exist at that time, but it just kept moving further north. And, you know, historically, if you stay sort of between Preston and 75, you know, that's generally where a lot of the activity goes. I just followed the smart money. Bob Folsom, you know, when he was mayor and started investing out this way, and then Jerry Jones, you know, all of those people, if you think about it, those people, like if I was going to open up a Burger King, where would I open up a Burger King?
I would probably do it Legacy.
I would do it next to McDonald's.
Oh,
because they're experts in real estate. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I'm going to go into the real estate,
literally,
yeah. But
no, you do. You follow successful people.
Follow the smart money,
and that is what we're doing with this conference. Really, is we're bringing in the successful agents and saying, y'all have to learn from them because in the future, if things tighten up, which we're talking about, they may do, you want to be in that driver's seat of luxury real estate.
And you know what? If you come to this conference, we're going to give you the blueprint on making the move. If you're thinking that luxury might be in your future, listen, you don't have to be born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Yeah. Many of these agents got into the business and had no history. What you have to do, though, is you have to know where the opportunities are and why a shift in the market could be your chance to get in and get your spot in the luxury market. And that's what we're going to help these agents figure out at the conference on Monday. This is not just about, hey, you know, we're going to have all these celebrities there and stuff like that. There's going to be a ton of meat on the bone. And when you walk out of there, you're going to have a working model of how you can go, some things that you can go apply after you leave the conference and know how to get into those spaces where you want to be. You're going to know all the tactics that people are using. And we were talking about your digital press and the things that you do and how important video is. Guys, we're going to touch on things that literally are going to help you be the number one marketer in this area. And there's things that are other agents are using, and they're not going to tell you what it is unless you come to the conference, and then you're going to find out.
They always spill the beans a little bit more when you're at a conference like this.
Especially if you get a little truth serum down at Del Frisco's Double Legal. Remember, we're doing that
We're doing a happy hour.
We're doing a happy hour up in the Crow's Nest over there at Legacy West after the event from 5 to 7. sponsored by Windrose Towers,
Tower.
but you have to have a ticket from the event. You can't just show up there. So please don't just show up there.
Yeah.
It's going to be, there'll be security guards and FBI
Big
and
ones.
CIA
Big
and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't have your wristband on, you can't get in. Right. But we're going to give you a chance to mingle and get belly to belly and whiskey to whiskey, if that's what you do, or Diet Coke to Diet Coke, whatever you drink, with these agents that are killing it. Mojitos. Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But no, we are so excited about that. And the truth is that when you do hear folks speak like this, they will kind of get on. I know, because I do it. I'll get on the rant. I'll keep going and going and going. And then I tell a few things that maybe I wasn't going to tell or shouldn't have let out there. But it's also, that's a reporter's secret. That's one of the reasons why good reporters always want to sit down and have lunch, or better yet, a drink with you, because that's how you get people to talk, and that's how you get your good quotes. Right. So we're just getting good quotes for you guys from these people.
And Candy is an expert. Thank goodness you're the one facilitating the panel,
yeah.
not us.
You,
right?
yeah.
Oh no, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've done these from time to time at different venues around town. I love doing it because you can get on a roll, and you can, evoke from believe it or not, there are some quiet agents who are very quiet, ethereal, and we can kind of get them to come out of their shell and chat. In the morning, I'm going to give a little overall view of the social importance of social media and why I started this site that I have, Candy Stewart, because I saw that real estate was just changing, and we were making a huge shift from print to online. And I think that we've seen that now. It took 10 years, because we've been around for 10 to 15 years. Yeah, 15 years ago, I started at D, and then 10 years ago, I took it on my own. And we've now seen this shift. And you all know in your own lives, it's all about digital for news. I mean, nobody's going to a newspaper anymore and getting their news unless you're 80.
Yeah. Candy, you've been covering real estate in this area for a long time. How have you seen technology's role in our business change and impact the way that agents do their job now? Well,
first of all, what I don't like seeing is that it's not driven by the agent, but driven by the customer, the consumer. Someone will go list a home, and the seller will say to them, I want this. I want it to be on a website. I want it to be on Candy's Dirt. I want this. I want that. And they're like, oh, okay, great. We'll listen to you. We'll do that. And what I try to teach the agents is don't get behind the eight ball on this. Don't be late to the party. You know about this ahead of time, so that when you go in and make your presentation to, the seller, you can tell them you have all the digital bases covered. What are those digital bases? We're going to talk about that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So in the role of marketing, we were talking about video and so forth, and you made a comment over lunch about, you only get one chance to make a first impression. What did you mean by that?
Well, for example, we're looking at a listing right now that the agent wants us to help promote and write about. And my staff and I looked at it, and we were just like, oh my God, this poor house. We're embarrassed for this house that these photos are out there all over the world already, showing it without staging, without a new paint job. I mean, it looks like a dated home, and they're asking a tremendous amount of money for this home. And I just think that a responsible agent would not let a picture go out like that. It's like, I would not come here first thing in the morning when I, first woke up. I would not, do that anytime. You groom yourself, you groom a home before you put it out to, for everyone to see. And the problem is, if you let those photos get out first, they're always out there, and they're always in the perception of every, buyer's mind. So it's already kind of starting a rung or two down. Whereas if you start with the home looking its absolute best, professional photography, professional staging, you're going to hear from these agents who we're going to talk to that they will go in and they will not let a home be shot until it is done. If that means you move half of your stuff out, that's what happens.
That's what garages are for.
That's right. Storage places. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a method to it to get the top dollar, because this is where my magazine background comes in so handy. We wouldn't go and photograph ugly homes to showcase in our, in the home magazines. We wanted them perfect. And I know what we did to make them perfect. Sometimes we'd shove everything under the bed, including the kid,
The cat, the kid, the dog.
the dog, everyone. Shove it under the bed, fluff everything up. Don't look what's in that corner. But we wanted those pictures to be perfect and give this perfect sense of life. And I was like, well, this is what people should do in real estate then.
Yeah. You just can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, can you?
No.
No.
That's a very good way of putting it, right?
Yeah.
Once it's out there.
Once it's out there.
Yeah.
Interesting. What other great advice do you have? And we don't want to, give everything away here that we're going to cover at the conference, at the symposium. Sorry.
The symposium.
Yes.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
I do too. Thank you for somebody, Rachel. Thank you for that. I think it's where it came from.
Great. Yeah.
But what other nuggets? Can you share another nugget or two for us here?
Well, I think we can share the fact that your website is more important than any sort of vanity advertising you could possibly do on yourself. Because in the end, the luxury home seller is interested in one thing. How much can you get me for my property? I don't care where you've been in this best or that best, or, how many times your, hair has been styled for your personal photo shoot. How much money? I want the most that I can get in the least amount of time possible for my home. And this is what people are interested in. And if you're not utilizing the absolute viral power of digital marketing, then you're really losing it.
Okay, so is print media dead?
Pretty much so. Here's the best way I can explain it. First of all, you've got a story in the Dallas Morning News. Oh, that's great. They wrote up my house. That's wonderful. So let's say we've got maybe a lot of people moving here from California, which they are. How are they going to find that story in the Dallas Morning News? Oh, they could go to the Dallas Morning News. They could have a subscription. What are the chances they're going to actually be able to get behind that paywall and that subscription? So you want to have it out there in something that they can look at readily, easily, and they can, share it with friends, and they can say, hey, this is a home we want to see on that trip to Dallas when we're, coming in to look for homes.
What about like offline to online marketing? So maybe if you do postcards or farm a neighborhood,
yes.
is that still something that's viable?
Agents tell me that does work. Now, personally, I'm not a print person, so I take all that and I put it in the recycle bin before it even makes it to my house. So, but they, and I know a lot of people are like me like that because we're all digital. To me, it's just when you have a lot of information coming at you, and I have like 5 email addresses and, probably 600 emails a day from each one of them, it is hard, but I find what I need to find. That way it's more organized. Having paper all over the place is it's kind of a waste and it's disorganized. But agents tell me that direct mail still works. Now, is that going to make or break the sale of your home? No, because you're not likely to get another neighbor to come in and buy the home. What they will do, though, is they may talk about it with someone that they know who's, I've always wanted to move into your neighborhood. But I say do that digitally. That's why Facebook and social media is so important, because you can take it and share it right then and there. It's kind of an action item that you take right then and there.
Right. So you said a minute ago that this is really interesting. You said that luxury sellers are interested in two things. I'm going to throw a third in there.
Okay.
They want the biggest check at closing.
Right.
They want it done in a time frame that works for them, usually the shortest time frame. And they want something that's where they have it's easy, ease of doing business.
Oh yeah. They
don't want to be bothered with hundreds of showings and all kinds of stuff. They want you to hit the nail on the head the first time, right?
Absolutely. Because guess what? They do not have the luxury of time, or I should say, phrase it this way. They have discovered that time is money. In their business, an hour is a billable hour of what? 5,000 a billable hour, or they think of it that way. I was reading the other day about Elon Musk. One of the most important people in his life is his handler, the person who he turns around and says, I want to sell all my homes in California, do it. I want to buy this, do it, make this happen. You have to pay attention to the fact that these people, you aren't going to get their attention. You're going to get their assistants' attention. But they're also they don't have the luxury hours and hours and hours to spend looking at homes. So the shorter and more succinctly easy you can make that transaction for them, the better they're going to use you again and again and again.
Yeah. I forgot to mention our sponsors. We have Alicia Chmielewski, right?
Oh, I love Alicia.
Lead Auctions.
I've written about her. One of the most successful, auction agents I've known. How many? I can't even count how many stories I've written about her auctions.
Yeah, she helped me with your neighbor Lee's house across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's there.
Who I ran against.
Yeah, and our other sponsors, we have Success Lending,
we got Capital Title, Success Lending, Titan Title.
Yeah.
And
Blackstone.
Blackstone.
Let me tell you about Blackstone. Very interesting company. I did not know they existed. And when we met, we found out we have a very good friend in common because, as you probably know, we had a tornado in Preston Hollow about 2 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago now. It'll be 3 years, I guess, in October. I will never forget that night because we actually have a tornado room in our house and the scotch and the champagne are in there. And we were in the tornado room that night, but I almost didn't make it in because I ran to get our bird and put her in the house. And I looked outside and it was so green. It was almost like the whole world was an ocean. It was like the ocean color, And my husband said, "Get your Fanny in here quick," So we went in, we shut the door, and we heard the tornado, all that stuff. We kind of got out, and luckily, fortunately, thank you God, our house, was spared.
2 blocks over, though.
2 blocks over.
No, yeah, very close.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. We could not get out of our neighborhood. We were sequestered by the trees and the wires and everything for about 3 weeks. When my husband went to the hospital, he had to literally, get in the SUV and go over, some tree trunks and things like that. It was really a very difficult life. So what you find out is that you go through this disaster, your home has been totaled. Several of my friends had their homes totaled. I mean, one woman was telling me about her swimming pool, glass all over the place. Glass is the number one thing I found out that happens during a tornado. Is it's everywhere. Little shards stick in your pillows and the couch. If you touch it, you cut your hand. It's amazing.
Wow.
So the insurance company becomes, oh my God. Hello, insurance company. We need help. We need this. And what Blackstone does is they go in and they work with you in your insurance company to maximize everything that you have a right, that you're entitled to from what you pay for your insurance to get. So they do that. They're not legal, but they just know how to help. So that's that company. Then there's, of course, Capital Title we've been friends forever.
Oh, the Shaddocks.
The Shaddocks are
family.
Just a great family and really one of the largest owners of title and a very, very great title company. And then, of course, the Windrose, and you'll get to hear Donna speak on my panel about how wonderful that is and what the developer has planned for next, which I'm not going to tell you today. You got to come to the conference to find out.
Right. And then there's also Chris Fenson from Viking Inspections. Yeah. And then our friends at Titan Title up in Tulsa. Actually, we're going to be doing some expansion work in Tulsa. They're going to be down and they're sponsoring as well. So it's very exciting. Now, you have a podcast.
Yes, we are a very nascent podcast. We just started it this year, and we are doing, and we're going to hopefully get you guys on there at some point and talk about it. We're doing different folks in real estate and leaders and shakers, and it's so interesting what we find out with every interview. I love it. It's a real people-to-people thing. I think that's why podcasts are so popular now.
Right. What do you think about agents doing podcasts? Do you think that's important or?
I don't know if they, I think they should be on podcasts. I'm not sure if they should spend their time doing podcasts though, because they really need to be out, hitting the circuit to find the best buyers for their listings and probably to get their listing promoted as much, but it wouldn't hurt to be a guest on podcasts and talk about a certain listing.
Well, that's what we do here. We certainly have a lot of real estate superstars on our show here.
Oh, this is a great tool for that. This
Yeah.
is great to talk about.
Now, is yours TV or is it just audio?
It's audio.
Okay.
It's audio because our research showed that people want to be able to listen while they're doing something else.
Sure. Well, this syndicates through a service that gets us on iTunes and Spotify and all that as well.
Yeah.
So, may have to get Jeff Crilly to work on you a little bit, see if we can get you one of those new studios he's doing on the 7th floor
Jeff is
up there.
amazing.
Yeah, isn't he wonderful?
He and I have known each other since he was at WFAA
Channel 4.
Channel 4. That's which I actually used to be at 4 too. So that's how we knew each other. We're both former media people who said, "Oh my God, there's so much more we can do with this."
What a small world.
Yeah, he's amazing, and I love that it's a family business now.
Yeah,
so,
we just ran into Dallas downstairs. His son, his daughter Sarah. It's great family.
And they'll keep it going. It's and expand it. And he's just, he's precious. He did a couple of pieces. I did a little interview with him when I was running for city council. He was kind enough to do that for me. And then I've been up here on his show a couple of times too, talking about real estate and, the Dallas market and how strong it is. That's the thing, is that all this gloomy news is coming out. And I'm a little bit upset with the new guy at the morning news that they hired to kind of help Steve, because he's kind of following in Steve's depressing footsteps of, oh my God, the market it's slowing down now. Okay, it is slowing down, but not necessarily here. And I was going to ask you a little bit about that, because I think we're a little different stories.
Right. It's, we don't have the systemic problems in lending that we had on the other side in 2008.
Right.
But, there's some recent articles, like one in Fortune, that suggested that this market is 48% overvalued. Nowhere near what Austin and Boise, Idaho, and places like that are.
Right.
However, as you know, if you've been on this planet long enough, you know that real estate goes in cycles. And the pendulum swings, and sometimes it swings to extremes. Do I think we have an impending, crash here? No, I wouldn't say that. I think we've got a nice runway, but I think what we're going to see is there's already been an inflection point. We see, days on market increasing, more price reductions, more listings, people trying to get in before it does, potentially start to go the other way. And if it does, as real estate agents, we really shouldn't be concerned about that. Right. All we're doing is we're just changing the way we help people as their advisors. When the market changes, people are still going to have to move, and it's how we help them. And the services that we provide for them, in the past 6 months, it's been just put a sign in the yard, and all these agents are bragging about how much, they're getting over list. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you didn't have much to do with that. The reality is the market in the supply and low interest rates drove this huge push. We have 5,000 people a week moving to DFW. I mean, it's crazy, and especially in the suburbs. We talked about this earlier. The huge shift to the suburbs, where everybody's moving out there for schools, for bigger lots, lower taxes, everything, you name it, right?
That the pandemic really gave that a kick.
Right. It sure did. But again, guys, a lot of this demand has been from institutional money that's come in from Wall Street, hedge funds buying entire subdivisions, trying to arbitrage the rental market. They're trying to buy here and rent it there and all this kind of stuff. And now they're pulling out faster than flies are dropping.
Which is probably a good thing.
It is. Yeah. Every time Wall Street gets involved in residential real estate, it's a train wreck.
It's a train wreck.
Real estate is illiquid. It is not like Exxon stock where you can sell it for, a hundredth of a tenth of a percent, for the bid ask. I mean, real estate in the price elasticity, what the rubber band, when it gets stretched this far, it has to come back. If you look at how prices are now versus the average, everything regresses to the mean. When I talk about the pendulum swinging to extremes, everything eventually regresses to the mean, and we're way above historically where we should be on average. Yes, I know inflation's a problem and everything else, but now we're seeing demand slow down. Home builders permits are down. They were down 25% in Prosper.
You're seeing credits now to realtors.
Well, I mean, prices are coming down. Buyer agents are able to negotiate closing costs. It's a shift. It's a huge shift. Yeah. But as a real estate agent, don't let that concern you.
Right.
Your livelihood is not predicated on which way the market's going. Your livelihood is predicated on how well you know your trade. And that's why there are going to be some of you who don't show up Monday, June 13th and you're going to be in this same position a year from now. They're going to be people who attend this conference who are going to be swimming laps around you. And I hate to say that, but you need to get out of your zip code. There is more knowledge in this industry than exists in your little world, okay? Your little market center, your little zip code, whatever it is. You need to have people like Josh Altman, people coming in from all over the country, as well as the local experts here in town, help you understand what the real secrets are, the real secret sauce to winning at this game. It doesn't matter if house prices go up or down. What matters is what you can control. And I'll tell you, in 2008, 9, and 10, I had some stellar years because I adjusted my business. And it was really, it didn't make a bit of difference in my income because I knew I had to make a shift. And that's what we're going to give you the blueprint for on Monday, June 13th.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, it's so helpful to hear from people from different regions too, because they've either gone through it already or they have been through it, and they can kind of say, hey, this is how we had to shift things around. But I will say one thing: in 2007, 2008, we all saw housing markets quote crash unquote. I don't think Dallas prices ever really went down.
They didn't.
They stayed.
Not like now, some out in the suburbs, some of the subdivisions out Panther Creek and others, there was a lot of mortgage fraud going on,
right?
A lot of things like that. But you're right. In the real core area, we didn't get hurt too bad. Part of it was because everybody laughed at Texas home equity laws. You can't do a cash out. You can't take out more than 80% of the equity in your home. In California, they were giving people 125% loans on their houses. Yeah. And they were doing payment option arms, interest only, all this kind of stuff. That was what blew the lid off of it there. But people were laughing at Texas, and we didn't.
Homestead laws.
Yeah, and because you can't borrow money against your house. Well, guess what?
Guess what? You shouldn't.
You shouldn't use it as an ATM machine.
As a piggy bank, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And then they'll take that money and they'll go eat at Del Frisco's and then get a home equity loan to pay for that steak for 30 years.
Unbelievable.
Or they'll go to Vegas. They'll go bank a trip to Vegas on a HELOC.
There is a definitely good purpose for a home equity loan, but it should be, at a certain, price point, at a certain value of your home, so that if the market does go down, because what happened was these folks ended up not being able to afford their home because they owed more than the home was worth.
Right.
So that's called being in the red, right?
They got a margin call on their HELOCs
exactly.
is what it was.
A
they were treating
call.
Their homes like margin accounts.
And that's why we don't like to Wall Street real estate, because basically a home is your biggest investment, but it's also where you live, where you put your head at night, where your children live.
It sure is.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I knew this was going to happen, but we're at the end of the show.
Oh my gosh. Well,
you know what that means?
This will continue.
It will continue, but you're going to have to show up Monday
June 13th.
to get the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, right?
Absolutely.
The rest of the story. Candy, man, this time has flown by.
It has.
You are such a dream and a delight to have on the show.
You guys are fabulous.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. C3, you got anything you want to wind up here with? Or
No, I've just been taking it in. It's been wonderful to hear what's going to happen in the next 10 days at the event on June 13th. And I'm super excited to see each and every one of you guys there at the event. So,
and where can they find the event?
If you go to nextgen.luxury, www.nextgen.luxury. That's it right there.
It's a website. And we're also featuring about two more stories on Candace Dirt. We've already had one, and we're going to have a couple more. So we will have a link on Candace Dirt. So you can go there, you can go to the website, or you can contact any one of us and we'll help you get it.
And speaking of contact, Candy, if one of our audience members cared to reach out to you and maybe has a question about Candace Dirt, what's the best way to reach you?
Candace at candysdirt.com, and that's CANDYS dirt, DIRT, of course, .com. No apostrophes, no possessives, just Candace at candysdirt.com. Or you can call me. My phone number's on the site. So,
oh, wow.
If somebody writes in candy at candysdirt.com, does that go to you?
It does. We have an alias for it.
Good, because that's something I would do. I would, thinking of Candy's Dirt, it would be Candy at Candy's Dirt. Candace is, of course, your name.
Yes.
And that's who we wanted to go to. So I just want to make sure that's
Thank
great.
you. That's a very good point. Actually, I was talking to my staff the other day, and I said maybe we should do it with a K too, in case people misspell it.
True. That's right.
You have to think of all this. You have to think how people are living on the web, and
Right.
that's what we do. And we'll talk more about that on the 13th.
Talk about it, and we'll see you there too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next week, folks, we've got I think, do we have the Chief Collaborative Officer coming? CFO, CCO, Jeff Whiteside, eXp Realty, going to be here live
Oh, really?
on Cliff's Notes. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go to Orlando for shareholders, but we will be back next week. Shareholders is after the event, after the Next Gen Luxury, the Accelerator Symposium will be in Orlando, but we will see you next week right here on Cliff's Notes.
Notes.
All right, folks, tune in to Cliff's Notes every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central for the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it.